how she's been a breath of fresh air in the office. That's coded speak for I want to smell her farts. Hello friends, and welcome back to ReddX, your source for the freshest daily cringe content anywhere on the internet. Promise swearsies, it's just a fact, and it's totally science. Go ahead and look it up. Hey, what would you do if your husband was a creep? What would you do if he was creeping on your mutual boss's daughter? Would you take issue with it? Is she just being overly jealous and making it weird? I guess we're gonna find out today, so join me, friends, won't you, as we journey into a tale of intrigue. I, 29 female, found out my husband, 34 male, is obsessed with our boss's daughter, and I have no idea what I could do or how I should proceed.
Hello, tiny one.
Come on.
I'm like skeptical reading the title, but Lady Angelia always delivers the good. I'm telling you. It's like, thank you so much for cross-posting this. Absolute gold mine. Throwaway account, because I don't want people following my main to know about these, at least not yet. For some context, I, 29, and my husband, 34, work for a small RMG firm here. Real estate management group? In the Philippines, it's giving me results for hospital supplies, so I don't know. Doesn't matter. OP says we were both recommended through a relative of mine. Hey, let's have a round of applause for nepotism, everybody, huh? I've been working here for around 6 years, my husband for about 7 years. During the work time, our boss would occasionally bring his then teenage daughter to work. She would have been around 15-ish when we first met her, and had her interact with the employees and stuff to show her what we were doing and how things work, etc. I remember Take Your Child to Work Day. I remember them sitting me down with a Game Boy and I played Pokemon the whole time. I don't even remember what that job was. I was probably not 15 at that time. That was like 8 or 9. But yeah. So fast forward to January of this year. The boss brought her in officially, letting us know that she will be taking over a good deal of his work overlooking things. We were initially hesitant, considering she was so young, turned 20 this year, but ultimately, she wasn't taking over, more so learning how to handle the business, while the boss managed other work, I suppose. I hope she's not like an insufferable, entitled child. I hope she's gonna take this seriously, or else you're gonna run your business into the ground. The vitamin manufacturer that I worked for, they blew up. They no longer exist, and that's insane to me. I spent like 4 years of my life doing inventory management for them. The business was 4 or 5 generations old, and yeah, they had one arrogant kid, and he cratered it. Anyway, OP says it helped that she herself was also very keen on cooperating and taking advice. There you go. Often holding meetings to discuss things and making sure that she herself is the last to leave work almost every time. It's been an overall good development in that regard. I love to see that. Maybe she actually stands a chance. The business world is cutthroat these days, man. You gotta know your shit and keep your head on a swivel. So the issue started initially a few months after she started. She would occasionally hold office events just to lighten the mood, and this earned her a lot of praise from all of us, since it's not something that the old boss would have time to look into. And also, where are we getting the money for all these pizza parties, huh? I'm trying to run a business here and you're bleeding me. They're fine, they can buy pizza at home. It's what I pay them for. No, but it is a nice gesture, though. We were all talking about her, so it didn't feel too weird at first when my husband joined in on the praising. How impressive it is that she's so young, but so mature. It's already creepy. How she's been a breath of fresh air in the office. That's coded speak for I want to smell her farts. Everyone's so motivated to work because of her. And by that, he means his dick. With hindsight, it seems like he was just in on talking about her with me in general. Every now and then he'd start singing her praises, But when we're at home, a huge talking point always being how she's so mature for her age and understanding, even pointing out how we weren't at that age. I didn't take it much to heart until one time I joked that it was fine if he was immature at times and that I would love him regardless, and his response was something along the lines of, well, you were too, unlike her. Jesus, dude. You're making a direct comparison between your wife and another woman. You never want to do that. This is only going to end badly. I think that was the first time that I felt a bit bad, because it felt like he was just comparing me to her now, but I tried not to think too much about it. This slowly spiraled too, going from talking about her maturity to her looks. How she could still look good while being so busy with work and studies. How she, and I quote, was definitely more gifted compared to other girls. Dude, you're a creep.
Get out of here, you creep!
You should be calling out this creep behavior. Are you not showing any sort of outward disdain for the things that he's saying? Step up and question him. Be like, exactly what do you mean by that, you know? He'll never bring it up again. I think a lot of this is just stemming from a lack of self-importance, and OP says as much in the next sentence. And once, out of insecurity, I asked if he thought she was prettier than me, and he gave me a, of course you're attractive to me, but objectively, like, not considering my attraction to you, she is prettier. Dude, you...
Divorce.
You fucked up now. You know that, right? This is not going down a good road. But hey, maybe give him the divorce, let him shoot his shot and get decimated, and then you can find somebody who actually values you and what you bring to a relationship. What a horrible thing to say. This messed with me for a while, and we ended up having a fight where I essentially banned him from bringing her up with me. If it's not work-related. Oh, if it's not work-related. You definitely don't want to give a guy like this that caveat, okay? And the fight shouldn't have waited until the boiling point. You address it early. And then nobody feels the need to scream or yell. But if all this shit adds up, then you explode. It's not good. It's not healthy. Also, adding to that was the fact that husband started taking extra work every now and then and taking overtime. And while I initially thought it was just to earn money, I later found out that it was simply because he knew that she usually heads home late too. Usually after most, if not all, employees are gone. Pretty sus, bro.
You sussy bata.
I'm not liking that none too much. He's making his moves. You see he's making his moves. Get the divorce papers ready. Allow him to shoot his shot. If that seems sad or extreme, you have to consider that you just can't control other people in that way. If he's really making his decision to do this, which clearly he is, then yeah, you just have to prepare your counterplay, you know? Fast forward to a few days back. The weekend happened, husband was out with his friends, and my laptop was at the repair shop, so I used his laptop without his permission. I mean, you guys are married, right? So it's probably fine. Unless...
I just hope she doesn't look on my computer. Actually, I'd better go check.
We are relatively free with each other's devices. Like, we never have reason to use each other's devices, but if for some reason we did, the other didn't mind, so I didn't think that much of it. My wife and I are much the same way. We know all each other's passwords. There ain't nothing to hide. Lay it all out there. OP says, I had put some videos on autoplay as background noise as I did some work when I opened his PC folder, and on the left quick access bar, there was a folder with our boss's daughter's name. Ooh, you PC snitching on you, bro. Maybe just don't do creepy things. It could be work-related. Maybe OP thinks it's work-related. She says, I had to click it, but like, did you? I guess I would too. Tell me the wicked truth. OP says, when I did click it, I actively couldn't believe what I was seeing. A folder of over 1,000 pictures of her. Screenshots from Instagram and other apps. Any and every pic he could find of her, and just an insane number of pics just taken without her consent, like with either a hidden camera or his phone at the office, ranging from her just sitting down or working to some high enough angle to get cleavage or down blouse, or even a few under the table shots, though those didn't have anything to show, at least not from what I'd seen. Jesus, this man needs to be executed. He's like a rabid dog. You're not gonna be able to wind this back. No, it's not worth the taxpayers' money. We'll just put him down. It's fine. He's my dog, I'll do it. Actually, make OP do it. That's her dog. OP says, this creeped me out beyond anything, since it was almost impossible to place my husband, who I had always known as the sweetest guy for the 6 years we've been married, as someone who would do something like this. That's weird. You've seen beyond the mask now. Now you wait for the nice guy mask to slip off and he's gonna get real angry for you violating his privacy and such and such. Yeah, that's if OP even brings it up, which she seems a bit of a noodle spine, so I don't know. The evidence is in front of you. What do you do now? OP says, I was shocked and just didn't really know how to react. If I should feel disgusted or sad, angry, I didn't know. Yes, you can feel any of those, and if you feel nothing now, I'm sure you'll feel it in due time. This OP might let it fester until the point where she stabs him in his sleep, but I don't know about all that just yet. OP says, then it got worse. Oh no. I used search to look up her name on his laptop and found something that basically turned any form of sorrow or sadness I would have felt into just pure disgust. Oh, what'd you find? He basically had a folder poorly hidden deep in a number of things, just full of photoshopped pictures of her. Some solo, some with him, some with other members of the office, and some just absolutely vile and disgusting. This guy hilarious to me though. He's like, I'm gonna nest this folder deep within some folders that are empty and nobody will ever find it. And somebody's just like, yeah, search bar.
What? No, it's not even mine. I just clicked on it.
If you named them anything different, your ruse could have gone on. What am I doing? I shouldn't be giving out tips here. Let these idiots shoot themselves. OP says, I deleted all traces of me having seen or searched for those, though I doubt it was necessary since my husband isn't the most tech savvy to begin with. Yeah, I can tell. I took a picture of some of the shit I'd found and left the laptop. I was furious, but I also didn't want him to know just yet. Oh yes, nothing I love more than snake in the grass covert schemes. That's not true at all, actually. I enjoy direct conversation. But some people feel so hurt that they feel a need to hurt other people that, you know, I can't tell you how to live, but come on. I guess it depends in what way you hurt him, so please do tell. OP says, I acted normal that night, and the next day. I called up my cousin. She was pregnant and her husband was away, and I asked if she needed help, and I used that as an excuse to move in and help her for a bit. I've talked to my husband, though limited, mostly through texts and occasionally at work, but for the last 4 days, I've been living with my cousin. Yes, this sounds like a good plan, okay. Remove yourself from the situation. It's unfortunate you have to see him at work, though. And I suppose you're also playing it cool through texts, but it would be really tempting to just walk up behind him while he's tip-tapping away on the keyboard and get him with the piece of piano wire. Pull real hard.
It's beautiful.
Honestly, I am disgusted. I think we all are. But I also don't know what to do, exactly. Like, I feel a big mixture of being cheated on, which I know he didn't do anything with her, but still, I can't explain it. It is emotional cheating, yes. He's become obsessive. Maybe it's something that you guys could fix with the help of a therapist or something like that. If the relationship's worth saving. Have you had a good time these past 6 years? It sounds like it. but I'm not the one who gets to make that call. OP continues, on top of all that, I feel disgusted that my husband was this sort of man. But even talking about it to my friends or family feels weird. Yeah, you married a creep, and your mother's gonna say, I told you it was no good, I told you. I tried to share with my cousin, but the embarrassment didn't allow me to say anything. Hard lessons to learn. At a certain point, OP, we gotta start advocating for ourselves, don't we? OP says, I just don't know what to do right now. I can't stay at my cousin's house forever. I'll have to head back sooner rather than later, but I also don't think I could just go back home and pretend none of this happened or I didn't see any of it. So, thought this was the best way to stay anonymous and ask for some form of advice. What should I do and how should I progress? I mean, in my experience, Reddit as a whole will just tell you to break up with him. I think since it's not physical, it could be sorted. Some heavy therapy and emotional work. But again, it costs money. Do you want to make that sort of investment in your partner? Not just monetarily, but like emotionally. That's generally why I advocate for these things to just be laid out on the table immediately. Hey, I found this and it's weird. Would you tell me about it? Let's talk this one out. Sometimes it's hard, but like, it's a lot harder to hold it in. Come to Reddit with hat in hand and be like, let me relive this entire story through text. I mean, I appreciate it personally, but yeah, just a conversation. Although, maybe she's still processing, I don't know. There is an update here. So a lot happened in the course of these few hours. I honestly wanted to wait a few more days to cool off myself and then do whatever was needed, but some of the comments did have me worried. If he got an idea and deleted everything, if he did something harmful in the meantime, and as my friend pointed out, if he, somehow as unlikely as it might be, found the post and put 2 and 2 together. All very good things to consider. So we ended up going over about 4 p.m.-ish, knowing we'd have a few hours to collect whatever. I made sure to copy everything on the 2 folders to a flash drive and took a video of it being from his laptop too, in case that was something that was needed. Then, as another comment suggested, we looked for my name, which came out with nothing but regular pics and stuff. After that, my friend asked me to look up coworkers' names, and when I did that, that hit some results. No.
Welcome to the club, buddy.
With 4 other co-workers' names, all women, but none to the same extent as the boss's daughter. Like, between the downloaded pics, creep shots, and edited pics, all 4 of them combined didn't match hers. Yeah, but it's still really creepy. He's building up those collections. This is some really horrible stuff. And you know the behavior's only going to escalate the longer it goes unaddressed, right? They're collecting all the things they need for the divorce, the confrontation, which I think is good. Mature. She didn't firebomb his entire life over it. At least, not yet. OP says all the folders were hidden the same way inside a few layers of new folder. Like one folder and another folder, another, etc. up to like 8 to 9 new folders. Yes, nested folders because he's so sneaky. We took those too. Then my friend pointed out that some of those might be files he received, since the file names were different and some were similar to WhatsApp files, as she pointed out. This is something that I hadn't noticed, but the edited files were definitely named differently. Some being daughter's name plus adult video action, and then others just being something like image number and WA0014 or something along those lines, which my friend said are pics that he received in WhatsApp. Yeah, that's what WA stands for. Big brain!
This is big brain time.
We confirmed that they were indeed received from WhatsApp in the pic information. Oh, this is getting real deep into the nitty-gritty. I like this.
Yeah, boy.
Some real PI detective work. Tell us more, Gumshoe OP. This ultimately made me do something that I shouldn't have done, since it could have blown up in my face, but it had made me anxious and I needed answers, so I asked my friends if they would stay until my husband got back. They agreed, and I decided to take that time to pack my bags, just necessary things for now. My friends did say he's logged into Facebook, but didn't want to check his Facebook without me, and by the time they told me that, it was already time for him to come back, so we decided not to do anything. Oh, trust me, the evidence you already have is damning enough. though it will be real quick to copy those Facebook chat logs. Go in there, open it full screen, Control A, Control C, Control V in the notepad, stick it on the flash drive. Boom! We got him! You can print it all out and read it, just like Chris Hansen. I'm curious what's on his WhatsApp, too. So we waited and waited until he finally came back. See, he was even late getting back. He could have done all the things. But like I said, he's basically already buried. OP says he was surprised to see us, but didn't seem to suspect anything, and I told him to sit down. He did, and I think that's when he noticed his laptop on the couch and asked, what was going on? I told him I saw some things related to the boss's daughter and that I wanted an explanation. He tried to get angry at first, but quickly dropped that act. I told him I wanted to hear what he had to say, and then I would decide what to do. Yeah, you can't get angry at me for actions that you took. That's ridiculous. He said he was fine talking, but only if my friends waited in the dining or another room, as he wanted to explain things to me alone. Well, the fact that your first reaction was to get angry with her doesn't bode well. I think I'm gonna stay here. Are you okay with me leaving? Essentially, you don't even know who this man is anymore, right? So maybe the friends should stay. OP says my friends were hesitant, but I told them it's fine, and that if they hear any issues to, quote, send the drive link to the boss. Oh my god, the nuclear option! This was a bluff that I wish I had thought about before he came, but I told him that I saved everything in a Google Drive, and I wouldn't hesitate sending it to the boss if he tried anything. That's like the axe waiting to fall just over his head. Even if it was a bluff, that's like a super good bluff. It's in the cloud now. You can't stop it. He assured me he wouldn't act up and asked me what I wanted to know. At that point, I really just wanted to hit him. Just the look on his face. He looked guilty, like he was looking for excuses but failing or something. I don't know, but I really hated it. I mean, you could hit him. It's probably fine. Just one good one. Any more than that, I don't consent. But OP says I stayed calm, and I told him that I saw a lot of things, including all of the pictures of her, the edits, and a few other things. I asked him to explain. Yes, gather round. Let's watch him explain. He kept asking me exactly what I wanted to know, and it was becoming obvious that he was either stalling for an excuse or trying to see how much I knew. Yes, exactly that. This turned into an interrogation situation. I didn't know what I was getting into with this, but I'm glad it's this juicy. I told him finally that I saw the pictures, the hidden camera pictures, and even the edits. He pleaded with me not to get mad and to hear him out, and I told him I'll consider it. He took a minute and told me that he had noticed that he was growing more and more attracted to her sexually, and he apparently struggled with these emotions a lot, which is why he did that, and that he wanted to, quote, release his tension without harming anyone. Yeah, I know what you mean by that. Just making foul soup into a tube sock. What's wrong with you? This is not normal. You've got a gorgeous wife, presumably, who's at your beck and call. Why are you trying to go chase around basically teenagers? Super young adults. It's not a good look, fella. She's not looking for the same things you're looking for. I guarantee it. So that's why he made those, and he kept it to himself. Yes, thousands of them every night. He spent hours of his life doing this. And everybody's just like, oh, that makes sense. It's really weird. I then asked to see his WhatsApp, and the color on his face almost drained. Oh boy. He told me, I knew he didn't use WhatsApp, but I told him that I had checked his Google Play to see what apps he had installed. Another lie, but I was sure he was using WhatsApp, so I still went with it. Dude, swinging for the fences. This interrogation-style deception that's going on. It's just ambrosia. I don't know what I expected today, but I didn't expect this. It fits in with my other passion of true crime. Seriously, I watch a lot of true crime videos. Seriously. After a bit, he handed me the phone and told me not to overreact. Oh, Jesus. I took his phone and searched around for a bit. He has a lot of pointless apps downloaded, and it was hard to spot, especially since it wasn't even on the home screen, but on a folder file inside the slide screen thingy that Android has on the third page. Sorry if that explanation confuses you. Yes, the little sidebar. I mean, you could also use the search function, but we'll get there one way or the other. I open it to find just one group chat with 3 other colleagues, members of the team that he is in, basically. Oh. Bro, if I was the boss, I'd put all of your guys' heads on fucking pikes and leave them out in front of the office. This is so not okay. And you know it might progress to something further. Group of 4 30-something men sitting around discussing a 20-year-old girl. Oh, God, dude.
Unforgivable.
This is horrible. So this group chat was just filled with pictures of the boss's daughter, this girl, creep shots taken from different areas, zoomed in for the most part. There were even some from today, like literally a few minutes before he handed me the phone. I don't know if execution is enough anymore. Can we go with exile? Just nobody's allowed to interact with him. He learns to survive on his own in the wilderness, or he withers and dies. Who are these other people? Is this just a photo dump? OP says, a lot of conversations in Bangla, which I guess is Bangladeshi. I don't know. About fantasies on how they would have banged her. Scrolling up, it just kept getting worse and worse. I won't get into details on the specifics, but a lot of it was about wanting to force themselves on her as a quote-unquote revenge on the boss kind of thing, but with her acting as the boss, and some were even full-on well-thought-out scenarios where they were playing out what they would do and whatnot. Just 4 grown men sitting around discussing their deepest, darkest fantasies. Nothing good could come of this, you know that. I'm serious. Show the boss. The boss has enough money to have them taken care of. We'll never see them again. If you ever read something and just face pure whiplash, that was me at that moment. Literally just unable to even process it properly. Yeah, that's a lot to take on. I'm sorry you had to endure this, honestly. After you've looked all this ugliness right square in the face, I wouldn't blame you at all if you decided you wanted to walk away. Probably for the best, honestly. So OP's husband kept apologizing, telling me he loved me, and that all this was to keep himself in control, and that it was ultimately just harmless fantasizing. Yeah, until it's not anymore. Fantasizing about is essentially giving yourself consent to do it at some point in the future. The more you fantasize, the realer it gets until you're standing there with the girl's blood on your hands, you know? Is it illicit? No, I guess not. Is it deeply concerning? Oh, yes, it is. I only caught bits and pieces of what he was saying before just turning on the screen recorder and scrolling, recording the conversations. And the more I scrolled up, the more vile it got. The conversation did predate my husband joining, it seemed, but that didn't really matter. He was very actively taking part in it. This has to be one of the weirdest things we come across on the channel. How this girl formed like her own cult that she had no idea about? A soon-to-be murder cult? I wish the conversations were in English, and I wish I could see those chat logs, because I would love to go over them. I'd probably have to censor a whole lot of stuff. But this is just I don't have the words for how horrifying this is. OP says, I recorded a good chunk of it, but it just didn't seem to end, so I simply went to chat media, and even that was a huge scrolling down of pics, creep shots from phones, fakes, etc. I ended up getting as much as I could and sending it over to myself, making sure it was saved on my phone. All the while, he kept begging me to forgive him and not ruin his life and career. Sorry, and I quote, our lives and careers. No. This is alimony right here. I'm taking a tropical vacation somewhere. OP says, I told him that I felt betrayed, and I told him I was disgusted at the man he truly was. And through his apologizing, he kept insisting that it didn't really hurt anyone. Do you not see your wife right now? Far more broken than she deserves to be because of your actions. Because you couldn't control your fetid little wiggle worm. Ain't that right? Terminal cum brain. That's my analysis. OP says, I told him that it hurt me, and if she found out, it would hurt her too. And he simply pleaded with me not to tell her. She deserves to know, doesn't she? I think she deserves to know. You are simply reaping what you sow at this point. For a while, we just cried, for different reasons, I presume. But the entire time, he kept switching between how sorry he is and he loves me to how it's not as bad as I'm making it out to be, and how they were just messing around online. They weren't hurting anyone. My friends checked in on me a few times, but didn't interfere. This is heinous. You know it's heinous. That's why you're crying, so don't try to minimalize it, okay? After a while, I pulled myself up and told him that I don't see myself staying with him, and that I want a divorce. Hell yeah! He pleaded with me not to do so, but I simply said that I didn't want to listen to his excuses. I then told him that I wanted to take the laptop, and he froze. I was half expecting him to reject me, but he simply begged me not to show this to the boss or the daughter. I told him that I wasn't sure if I wanted to do that, which was a lie, and that I was thinking it over. I told him not to delete the WhatsApp conversations or tell the others, and that if he does, I'll send everything to the boss. Ultimately, I want to talk to the daughter first, and then I'll decide what to do and how to tell the father, but that will have to wait, I guess. There was a bit more pleading, and I simply left it on, I don't know what I want to do. I need time to think it over, and will let him know, but told him not to contact me in the meantime. And that was all we said, as we all left with his laptop. I do hope he doesn't alert his friends, but even if he did, it wouldn't matter, since the screen recording has all their names and numbers on the group chat, and a huge chunk of the stuff they said. It's probably not even a fraction of the stuff they said, OP. This has probably been going on for longer than you care to conceive of. If it's any longer than just a couple of years, then your punishment will be worse. Far, far worse. OP says, the thing is here, since nothing physical happened, I know the police won't take it seriously 90% of the time, with the only possible time they might take it seriously is if that girl took action herself, so I intend to give her all of what I have, and let her proceed with whatever actions she chooses to take there. She's no nonsense. She's a ball breaker. Go get him. I do wish I had waited to talk to lawyers before taking things this far, but the fear and emotions had me wrapped up, and I just ended up taking action. It seems to have worked out, but I don't know. Husband seems pretty defeated today, but considering how little it feels like I actually know him, I honestly can't tell with him anymore. I will see how things play out and maybe do one final update. But from my understanding, things will probably just end with a divorce and him getting fired. Still, thank you all for all the help, even just snapping me into action. Yeah, lives did hang in the balance here, and I think you made the right move, honestly. This was handled quite maturely. 6 years down the drain, but you know what? Better than 12. OP says, when we were leaving, he was basically sobbing and begging for forgiveness, or claiming how it's all just a mistake and nothing actually happened. To the point where I almost did feel bad for him. Almost, but I don't think I could feel sympathy after those chats and whatnot. My friends, luckily, were also there to remind me that regardless of what he says, his actions are not for me to forgive. I like that a lot. And I'm glad it was addressed. You didn't hold on to this thing that hurt yourself. You laid it out on the table as soon as you were comfortable doing so. Now husband has to deal with the fallout, but yeah, the fallout that he created. I hope the boss takes him out back and beats him to death with a sturdy ReddX Industries brand lead pipe. It's good for what ails you. OP says, right now, I don't really know what to feel. My mind's a bit of a mess, and things are processing weirdly. Apologies in advance if some of this is incoherent or feels like there are blanks in between stuff. Trust me, there are a lot of blanks in my head too, right now. Yeah, it's like a whole whirlwind of emotions. A few things I did want to specify. On the post, some people took the he's not tech savvy bit as though he isn't good with tech at all, which isn't the case. I think of tech savvy as being great with tech, and that's what I meant. He's not that great, but he's still decent. It's sort of insane to me that you're defending him from the comments. Let him drag him, like, who cares at this point? Whatever. We work in RMG offices. A lot of our work is with Modaris, Photoshop, and Illustrator, and he's decent with those. I just mean that in the sense that he's not the type to hide folders or passcode wall stuff, if that makes sense. You know how easy it is to set up a partition on a fucking hard drive? Never mind. That's fine. I bet he's great at it, totally. Sits there and uses programs with a carefully engineered GUI, and he's like, yeah, I'm really a computer master now. Do you have any idea what went into making that code? Do you? You don't. He knows how to use Photoshop. That makes him decent. Whatever. I'm just taking personal offense. It's fine. The second thing is hidden camera. Was less talking about an actual hidden camera and more just the style of it. Most of those are taken via phone, and as we found out now, multiple phones from multiple different people. Third, some people thought she was a minor. She isn't. Some people didn't read the post. She's 20 as of this year, but that still doesn't change the fact that he knew her when she was a minor, and that they started this when she was 19. It is really creepy and horrible, and probably the boss will kill them once he finds out. I'm not kidding. I would figure out a way to make it happen. I got nothing to lose anymore. It's my precious little princess. You can like drive them out into the middle of nowhere and make them dig their own graves and stuff like that. Record that. Send that in the WhatsApp group chat. This is what comes of people who disrespect me and my family. God, I haven't heard the boss say one line, but he seems really cool, doesn't he? Obi says, fourthly, I've been going back and forth with who to tell exactly, and while she is still young, she is still strong, and as much as I'd hate to say this after hearing it from my husband for so long, she is mature for her age. And as she's directly involved, I think it's only fair that I tell her and let her decide who she wants to share these facts with. I've made attempts to reach out, preferably outside of work, and I'll let him know how she wants to approach everything from her side. Fifth, am I worried about my job? A bit, for a few reasons. Firstly, because me and my husband were both recommended by a relative, and now, all of a sudden, that changes to someone that my relative recommended creeping on the boss's daughter. And secondly, because I will be technically the ex-wife of the guy who stalked her to her and the boss, and yeah, that's something to worry about too. But regardless, I still think it's the right decision to make. Yeah, the social web is super complicated. I try not to get too caught up in it. Morally, it feels like the right thing, and therefore it's going to pan out. If it results in you losing the job, then it's all part of the plan. You're going to find something better. It's fine. You're doing the right thing. Just move forward. Keep moving forward. Faith, not fear. Lastly, about the divorce, I am worried about it, for sure. But we don't necessarily have a joint fortune, and most of our finances are our own, with a very small fund saved up that we usually keep for trips and stuff. And I personally think I have enough proof on me as well, but still, I will get legal counseling within the next few days, preferably before things blow up in his face. I'm currently staying at a friend's for a few days while I look for a new flat. I wanted to move in with my parents for a bit, but my gut is telling me that that's the last place that I should go once this news breaks. Why, what's wrong with your parents? What's going on there? Oh no! We're gonna have to jump into the next post to find out, so let's do it right now. Update! I, 29 female, found out my husband, 34 male, is obsessed with our boss's daughter, and I have no idea what I could do or how I should proceed. Yes, the way you've been proceeding is fine. With caution. Give him a wide berth. You might quickly find out that he's also the vengeful type. Update to previous posts, so I think this will be the only update. I saw a few people who were asking for updates before too, but I honestly needed some time to myself as well, and I wanted to see how things played out before making an update. Essentially a week between these posts, 6 days. One was November 9th, one was November 15th. And indeed, once the shite starts rolling downhill, it definitely gathers some speed, doesn't it? But it's good. I called OP a noodle spine at some points, but she ain't taking no disrespect. She's getting up and out. I take it all back. You're doing what's best for you, and I love to see it. Continuing. So, as I said in the last edit and some of the comments, I ended up going to the boss's daughter. I showed her everything I had, and I told her I had the laptop too, if she needed. I could tell it was a good bit for her to process initially, but she said she's used to stuff like this. Yeah, screw this place, honestly. And so she composed herself. It's probably not even just this work environment. Like, life is just super hard for hot people, okay? People always paying attention to me all the time, like, ugh, give me room, you know? Afterwards, she asked if it would be fine for me to help her go through the screenshots and screen recordings and pictures, since she'd rather not have to go into checking the details herself, and I agreed. We sat at a local fast food chain and basically wrote out a detailed HR report. Like, not a report to the HR, but a report from the HR regarding that team. Oh yes, heads will roll. Not literally, which I think is unfortunate. They're just gonna do this same creep shit somewhere else, you know that. Maybe some of them will learn a lesson, but I doubt it. Like I said, terminal cum brain. I went over the different aspects of the text caught on the screen recording and the edited pics, as well as the creep shots of her. She assured me that I won't be facing any consequences for this, and to leave talking to her father to her. She asked if I were to be called to the police station if I would be willing to go, and I said that I would. She concluded that while in other areas this could have been used to better punish them, chances are high that this won't do very much, other than maybe a few days worth of jail, but that she still would be going to the police, as this would be a good way to make sure that if they ever even consider doing something, this could be used to screw them over. Yep, gotta get that paper trail started. As for their jobs, she said she would keep them for a few days while the filing and reports work their way up, and then fire them on the spot with no reference or experience certificate, basically rendering any attempts of showing work experience at this company impossible. And should they try, future hirers will be sent the HR report that we built. We concluded the meeting there with her telling me not to worry and just not to interact with them at work. While I do think it's hilarious that prospective employers might find out that they're a sex pest, I mean, it's relatively small potatoes as far as punishment goes, isn't it? I was hoping for some bloodshed. Come on. After all this, OP says I spoke to a lawyer, showed him everything I had, and while he took a small bit, he said that things can be done relatively easily. Thing is, it's not like me or my husband have that much joint property or wealth, that there would be much of a dirty breakup financially. But from the looks of things, so far at least, things seem to be going in my favor. Oh yeah, you got this locked down. Cold, there's not really a question of how this went. He played himself completely. Maybe the other boys did encourage him to do it or something, but at the end of the day, you're responsible for your own actions. You had a wife who loved and respected you at some point, and you gave all that up for your little fantasies. Pathetic. OP says, my husband did call a few times and texted to see if I'd reconsider, but I blocked him, more or less. Oh yeah, I didn't want any part of his BS, honestly. This is the part where the shitstorm I had mentioned started. Calls and messages from relatives, all with the purpose of letting me know that these things happen and that I shouldn't hold it against him. These things happen? What? I don't think so. I don't think those things happen. This is a problem. This man should be at least in therapy, if not medically sedated. OP says I talked to my mother and found out that what he told her and a few other relatives, including his parents, was that I got jealous because he accidentally showed interest in the boss's daughter, but he never planned to act on it. Oh yes, some choice omissions there. This caused almost everyone but his mother to side with him, and while his mother called me to apologize, saying that she was ashamed of what her son had said, I originally told my husband that I wouldn't blow this out of proportion, but I ended up telling my mother and his parents, the former, who responded exactly as I thought she would. She told me it's not like he acted on it, and that this is nothing to ruin a marriage over. Dude, there was some sick, degenerate shit said in those conversations. You want to read them? This is what your baby boy was saying. The RAPE word was applied liberally. Liberally! OP says, none of this surprised me. Since when one of my aunts got cheated on, she and her other sister had essentially taken the stance of just ignore it and forgive it and move on and don't bring it up and things will be happy. Is that the type of person you want to be? Do you want to sacrifice your happiness for someone that gives like that little of a shit about you? That's pathetic. That's embarrassing. Don't ever do that to yourself. Gather your strength, stand up, and walk away, like OP did. That's the only correct response in my book. OP says, my mother and I had a huge back and forth where she brought up family reputation, embarrassment if family finds out what he did, embarrassment that I'm a divorcee in my 30s. Yeah, that's a thing here, sadly, and yeah, 29 is still reaching into the 30s. Yep. But things in my 30s were way cooler than things in my 20s, so, you know, I take it. We ended the call on pretty bad terms, but that was expected. The family itself is more or less on the same stance, with only some choosing to stay away. And even now, when I ended up sharing the exact reason with a few members, they responded with, let it go and fix the relationship, or something akin to that. Get him into therapy. Like, I can tell this is a cultural thing. Nobody suggested therapy at all. They're just like, sweep it under the rug. It's fine. It's never fine, okay? These things are going to come bubbling up to the surface at some point, whether you want them to or not. It's good that we're addressing it now. We don't need to hold on to this hate for any longer, okay? It's over, it's done, something better will find me. Continuing, the pleasant surprise came from telling his parents, though, who took my side. They know he's a little cum-brain, don't they? After things blew up, his mother apologized to me, telling me she was ashamed of what her son did, while the father told me, he'll make sure my husband won't be causing any issues for me in the divorce or in general. Are you gonna kill him? Can I watch? I was honestly expecting them to take his side, like my family, so this was a welcome surprise. Yeah, a little swippity swap there, huh? Parents know their kids. They're surprised that somebody like you stuck with somebody like him. They're sad to lose you as a daughter. At least that's what I infer from all this. OP says yesterday, the team was called into the boss's office along with some police. Whoa! I don't know what was said and done, but they were in there for a long time. And by the time they all left, they looked defeated, especially my husband. It seems she did exactly what she said she'd do and fired them. I don't know the specifics of it, and I don't necessarily intend to ask either. I mean, probably they just got fired. I'm gonna pretend they got put on a certain registry for people that should be registered when they do things like this. But probably they didn't. The case isn't severe enough yet. We'll wait until they offend again, I guess. As for me personally, it's been rough. It's easy to get angry when everything is happening. It's the moments when things are calm that memories and feelings get the best of things, but I'll be fine. I get to keep my job, which is huge in my opinion. The whole thing with family isn't getting much better, it seems. Got a bit worse after the firing. I have my stuff and I moved in with a friend for a few days while I look for a smaller apartment. As for husband, I don't exactly know. But I assume he'll be moving in with his parents, who are still pretty annoyed with him. Crawling back to mommy and daddy. Mommy, daddy, I'm sorry I couldn't keep my pee-pee in my pants. I had to take pictures of the girls. Yeah, we always knew you're a weird, pathetic little worm. Let's see how you can build up your shit pile of a life from way down here. The apartment we stayed in was something that we both contributed to live in, so without an income, I can't see him maintaining it at all. Honestly, this is probably it. I don't really see myself making any more updates to this. It's been a mess, but still, I want to thank everyone for their love and support. It really helped a lot. I haven't really thought out the response too well, might have missed parts of some stuff, and if I did, I'll try to answer anything I can, but other than that, this might be it. And so it was. What an absolute roller coaster. My favorite part, the gumshoe detective work, going in there in the interrogation and telling like the whitest lies to get him to let his secret slip. Oh, it's so good. You eviscerated him! I am sorry that it caused a little bit of family turmoil, but I mean, what can you do? That's much better than carrying this around with you. Letting it cut you deeper every single day you see him being a fake asshole. You made the right moves. It takes a strong person to do it, but you did it. Up and out, OP! Proud of you, OP. I'm also proud of all the lovely people listening to this right now, especially if they've listened this far. Please like the video if you did indeed enjoy it. Check out the links in the description. Patreon patrons, YouTube members, thank you so much for helping me to make it through every month. They get a special video every Sunday, so check that out if you'd like. There's also a Teespring, Amazon affiliate, yada yada. On the end card, I'm going to link the creepy journal guy who also had a work crush. That's a pretty good video, so click on through. I know you'll enjoy it. Always remember, friends, that you are loved, you are worthy, you definitely deserve it, and I shall see you in the next one. So until then, bye-bye. Go ahead and cut them open. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. Promise swears it's just a fact.